We've had 14 years of Conservative government, a mega majority in 2019, which I significantly helped them to obtain. Millions of those voters...
I've made that point this morning, by the way.
Utterly betrayed. If I'd stayed at home, if I'd gone to the Bahamas fishing for the month...
Now, you said this is a setup.
I know it is.
Do you have a single shred of proof?
Well, I'll tell you who he is. He's an actor, OK, number one.
All sorts of people are actors. That's not proof that this was a setup. Have you got any proof?
Keir Starmer would have won a big majority anyway. And many of our voters, if they're polled and spoken to, if we weren't here, wouldn't vote for anybody.
Trevor Phillips used a racial slur on live TV while accusing Nigel Farage of racism. The irony wasn't lost on viewers as Farage calmly dismantled the accusations against him, exposing the double standards in mainstream media. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. This wasn't just an interview, it was a masterclass in media manipulation.
Is there any chance I could ask you a question?
Go on then.
Right. Let's start with the unambiguously racist remarks made by one of your own volunteers, Andrew Parker. Let you explain yourself. There's a number of things in that. There's not actually anything in that that says that you know that this was a setup. But what I think is even more interesting...
He does what he calls rough speaking, all right? I was there working in the office in Essex when he turned up, and he was, from the moment he walked through the room, like a version of Alf Garnett.
Farage's laughter echoed through the studio as he systematically exposed the flaws in Phillips's argument. How did Farage manage to turn the tables so effectively? Trevor Phillips, known for his relentless interviewing style, didn't hold back as he faced off against Nigel Farage. The tension in the studio was palpable as Phillips opened with a scathing accusation. Farage enables racism in his political movement. It was a bold move, setting a confrontational tone right from the start. But what happened next caught everyone off guard. Instead of becoming defensive or agitated, Farage responded with an unexpected calm demeanor and a knowing smile. It was as if he had anticipated this line of attack and was ready to turn the tables. This composure showcased Farage's confidence and ability to handle pressure, a skill he's honed through countless high-stakes interviews.
You know me well enough. We've known each other 20 years. You know that I fought harder than anyone to drive the BNP out as an electoral force, and I did so with,
I've got a bone to pick with you about that, but we'll come back to that later.
Success.
What was it about you, Nigel Farage, that first attracted these racists and homophobes and anti-Semites to your party?
Well, the candidates that we're kicking out. I led 29 MEPs into the European Parliament 5 years ago. It was the most diverse group from any country in Europe.
As Phillips pressed on, trying to corner Farage with his tough questioning, the first twist in the narrative emerged. Farage, in a surprising move, brought up Phillips's own controversial past. Suddenly, the interviewer found himself on unfamiliar ground, struggling to regain control of the conversation he had so confidently started. The tension in the studio began to build as Farage systematically presented evidence of Phillips's hypocrisy, including past use of racial slurs. It was a masterclass in media manipulation, with Farage effectively using facts and logic to counter the accusations against him. As the exchange continued, it became clear that Farage wasn't just defending himself. He was exposing the double standards often present in mainstream media narratives. Phillips, known for making guests squirm, now found himself in the hot seat. The tables had turned, and the relentless interviewer was now on the defensive. Farage's ability to control the narrative was on full display, impressing even his critics with his professionalism and composure under fire. As the segment progressed, viewers were left questioning the credibility of mainstream media narratives. The social media reaction was swift, with many criticizing Phillips's approach as biased and orchestrated. while praising Farage for his calm and fact-based responses. It was a moment that highlighted the polarizing nature of Farage's position in UK politics, drawing both criticism and support from different segments of the public. But Farage's counterattack was just beginning. As Phillips struggled to regain his footing, it became clear that this interview was far from over. The stage was set for an even more dramatic confrontation, with Farage ready to challenge not just Phillips, but the entire system of media narratives he believed was rigged against him. As the interview progressed, Trevor Phillips shifted gears, steering the conversation towards Nigel Farage's alleged support for controversial world leaders. Phillips wasn't pulling any punches, questioning Farage's stance on Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. The tension in the studio was palpable as Farage found himself cornered on this sensitive topic. But Farage, ever the skilled political operator, had an unexpected response up his sleeve. Instead of backpedaling or becoming defensive, he argued for the importance of understanding global influences. "We don't have to agree with someone to understand their influence," Farage stated, showcasing a nuanced approach to international relations that caught Phillips off guard. The debate intensified as Farage turned the tables on Phillips, accusing British politics of lacking strategic vision. He argued that focusing solely on vilifying world leaders like Trump and Putin was short-sighted and detrimental to the UK's future. This bold claim left Phillips momentarily speechless, struggling to regain control of the narrative he had so carefully crafted. Phillips, not one to back down easily, pushed back hard. He questioned the ethics of aligning with controversial figures, implying that Farage's approach was morally questionable. But Farage was ready for this line of attack. He presented his view with conviction, pragmatism over idealism in international relations. This stance, while controversial, sparked a heated debate about the nature of global politics. Farage's supporters saw his approach as a refreshing dose of realism in a world of political posturing. Critics, on the other hand, argued that his willingness to engage with figures like Putin and Trump undermined ethical standards in politics. As the exchange reached its crescendo, viewers found themselves challenged to reconsider their views on global political alliances. Farage's argument that addressing the bigger picture of global shifts is essential for the UK's future resonated with some, while others remained skeptical of his motives. The interview had reached a boiling point, with both Farage and Phillips fully engaged in a battle of ideas and political philosophies. Foreign policy experts watching at home were likely divided, some seeing Farage's pragmatism as necessary in a complex global landscape, while others contended that it risked normalizing authoritarian regimes. As the tension in the studio reached fever pitch, it was clear that this wasn't just another political interview. It was a clash of worldviews, a microcosm of the larger debates raging in British society. And as the segment drew to a close, it was evident that the fireworks were far from over. The stage was set for a dramatic conclusion that would leave viewers questioning everything they thought they knew about politics, media, and the complex web of global alliances. As the interview reached its shocking climax, Trevor Phillips committed the ultimate irony. While accusing Farage of racism, Phillips himself used a racial slur on live television. The studio fell silent, the tension palpable. Farage, ever the strategist, seized this moment to expose the glaring hypocrisy. With a calm demeanor that belied the gravity of the situation, he turned Phillips's own words against him, leaving the veteran interviewer visibly shaken. The aftermath of this explosive exchange was nothing short of seismic. Social media erupted, with users calling for accountability and questioning the integrity of the entire interview process. Sky News and Phillips remained conspicuously silent, offering no official apologies or statements. This silence only fueled the fire of public outrage, sparking intense debates about media bias and the responsibilities of journalists when addressing sensitive issues. The incident served as a stark reminder of the complexities surrounding political discourse and media representation. Viewers were left grappling with uncomfortable questions. How often do our trusted news sources fall prey to their own biases? are accusations of racism, sometimes wielded as political weapons. The Phillips-Farage interview became a case study in media manipulation and the dangers of unchecked assumptions, challenging audiences to approach political narratives with a more critical eye.